The Ontario Liberal Party is starting the week looking ahead to a leadership race. Bonnie Crombie announced yesterday she will resign as the party's leader after a week's show of support from party members. 57% of delegates voted against holding a leadership race. Some party members had called for her to step down if she received less than 66% support. Well, Crombie released a statement which reads in part, "Even though I received a majority of support from the delegates, I believe it is the best decision for the Ontario Liberal Party to facilitate an orderly transition towards a leadership vote. I have advised the party president of my decision to resign upon the selection of my successor." Ontario Liberal Party President Catherine McGarry released a statement which says, "I sincerely thank Bonnie for everything that she has done for our party as leader. Under her leadership, our party regained official party status in the legislature and had its highest vote total in 3 elections. The Executive Council of the Ontario Liberal Party will decide upon the details of a leadership election contest at a later date." CTV political commentator Sharan Kaur joins us live with more on what happens next to the Ontario Liberal Party. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharan. First off, I'm curious in your opinion, why didn't Crombie's leadership resonate with the party? What was it that just made them say, no, we want to look forward to someone new?
Well, I think there's a lot of different factors. I think the biggest factor being we just went through an election period not too long ago, earlier this year, where one, she wasn't able to get a seat. And it's really hard to be part of the narrative when you're not in the legislature and you're not actually front and center with your opposing member, which in this case is Doug Ford. And I think that showed a real weakness. Now, I think there was a lot of backroom conversations taking place over the weekend at the AGM. A lot of discussions around whether or not she would stay if it was 50 and over. But I just think there has been discontent with the party. And I think this is more than just Bonnie Crombie and the leadership. I think the OLP itself is going through a pivotal moment in time right now that it needs to figure out who they are and what they are, because what we just saw happen doesn't necessarily help the party and strengthen them to take on Doug Ford. They're basically starting all over again now.
Yeah, and one of the criticisms that we heard was the fact that a lot of the Liberal policies, it was hard for them to kind of differentiate themselves from the NDP. And while there was a lot of meat and potatoes, you could have gone after Doug Ford during the election of things that people weren't happy about, whether it comes to what's happening at Ontario Place, the Greenbelt, in education. That being said, people were still more willing to put their vote with the Conservatives. So talk a little bit about that and what you think this party needs to do to kind of separate themselves and not essentially fall in line with a lot of the NDP policies.
Yeah, and I don't even actually think it was their policies that led them to where they were. I think it was maybe the lack of where they stand in Ontario's in voters' minds. Now, we just went through a really weird period of time. You've got Doug Ford, who is a very likable human. People across party spectrums like him because he's relatable, he speaks in plain English, and comes off as that uncle that everyone, quite frankly, likes. Now, the issue here has been, as horrible as the U.S. trade war has been for our economy and the uncertainty, it's done a number for Doug Ford and his politics. It's really allowed him during that campaign period. He didn't have a platform. He was Captain Canada because the federal government was going through their own turmoil with their leadership. So I think it was just a series of unfortunate occurrences that allowed the Liberal Party to kind of fall as a second thought. When you have someone and you have Canadians so focused on the trade war and Doug Ford was filling that void, that is what people were looking at. People did not care about Ontario Place. People did not care about the Greenbelt. They cared about the fact that Doug Ford was standing up to Donald Trump.
And Sharan, big question is, what happens next? Who do you think are going to be some of the main contenders to lead the Ontario Liberals?
Well, I think over the next coming weeks, we're going to hear a lot of names pop out of the left field as well. Now, we already know that federal MP Nate Erskine-Smith has been mulling around on the idea of running for leader. He already ran once. There's a lot of speculation that this New Leaf Liberal group was kind of the group behind his campaign. But, I think we're going to see a lot of names. We're seeing names from the federal side. We're seeing names that have been kind of dormant for a while. I would suggest that people take time and figure out what it is they stand for before they kind of jump into the race. There's one opportunity right now to really rebuild the party and get it ready for the next election. There's time, and the best thing that the party can do is choose a thoughtful leader and someone who can actually resonate against Doug Ford.
Sharan Kaur, we always appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.